So my journey with cancer actually begins long before I was diagnosed in May of 2025. My father died of prostate cancer. I was 11 years old. I didn't learn of his cause of death for many, many years because back then they did not tell children what was going on with their parents. They didn't even allow us to go up and to visit him at the hospital until it was late, and that was one of the reasons that I knew he was very sick, because my brother and I were actually allowed to go up and visit him. 30 years later, I found his death certificate and saw on it prostate cancer. Fortunately, I was someone who always went to the doctor. I've gotten annual checkups for as long as I can remember. And one of those checkups was for prostate cancer. So it was in May of this year when my doctor's office called after a checkup. I was informed that they saw a spike in my PSA and wanted to get that checked out. That was really the beginning of this journey. From there, I went to a urologist, was sent to one by my primary care physician. He took the PSA test again to confirm it. A few weeks later, confirmed that there was a diagnosis of prostate cancer. So my urologist, he shared with us what my options were. And for most people with prostate cancer, they know their options are surgery, radiation, or something called active surveillance. Well, as we looked at the list, my wife and I, we immediately crossed off active surveillance because for us, that meant doing nothing. We were like, hell no. And initially we had decided to have surgery, even though the doctor said that there was no rush, that prostate cancer was a slow-moving cancer, and according to what he had discovered, mine was early enough to where there was nothing that I needed to do immediately. I said, well, that's easy for you to say. And so fortunately, I went and got other opinions. And it was one of these other urologists who said to me that if you were my candidate, if you were my patient, that you'd be a great candidate for active surveillance. It was the first time I began to consider that that was a real option, and began to think about, well, that means just sitting around and having cancer in my body and to a degree doing nothing about it. And so for me, the next part of the process became psychological, like how to put myself in position to live comfortably day to day with cancer. You know, during those early weeks, like that annoying relative, cancer would pop up anytime in any place. I'd be in the gym trying to lift a barbell. All of a sudden, my brain would go, you have cancer. And I'm like, stop, leave me alone. It took several weeks for me to be able to quiet that voice, to dim it, so that I could live my life, so I could do the things that I was called to do on a daily basis without thinking about having cancer, without thinking about the fact that cancer cells were still in my body. Early on, I relied on my faith to help me figure out what to do. And for me, Isaiah 40:31 has been my go-to scripture for a long time. And it's like, you know, those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall run. They shall, not be faint. They shall grow stronger. And so that was really at the foundation. And I also read the scripture that says that His power is made perfect in our weakness. So for me, the biggest part of this walk has not been physical. It has been spiritual and mental. Relying on my faith to help me make the decision that I need to make that's best for me and my family. And then mentally being able to overcome the burden of carrying cancer every day. There's a lot of misconceptions about prostate cancer. First and foremost, there's really no symptoms, right? Now you might wake up with, you might find yourself urinating several times during the night. I didn't have that. You might find it somehow impacting your sex life. I didn't have that. So that's why it's important to get tested, because it's really an invisible cancer to a degree. It's a silent one. I don't feel any different now than I felt before I was diagnosed. Usually by the time you have a symptom, it's a little bit late in the process. So I would never wait until I felt something or part of my lifestyle changed. I would rather know sooner or later, because the sooner you catch prostate cancer, the sooner you're able to know that you have it, the better your chances are of being able to treat it and overcome it. If you receive a positive prostate cancer diagnosis, the first thing you shouldn't do is panic. Most prostate cancer diagnoses are done early enough to where now And I just recently learned this. Over 60% of people who receive a prostate cancer diagnosis are choosing active surveillance. And they're choosing it because they're catching it early enough to not have to have surgery immediately, to not have to choose radiation immediately. So that's why it's important to get the screening early, so that maybe you put yourself in position to be able to wait. The second thing you should do is to also seek other opinions, other medical opinions, other trained medical opinions. Share your results with them and let them give their thoughts on what you should do. You should also share it with your friends and family. Don't try to fight this battle alone. There is no value in holding in any fear, any pain, or any concern about your future. Those are the kinds of things that can eat you from the inside out, even more so than cancer. Even before I received this diagnosis, I was given the opportunity to learn something that's very important to me. My previous wife suffered a stroke when my children were very young, 12 and 9 years old, and for several months I was consumed with trying to raise them, trying to be a caretaker and also a provider. And one of the things it made me do was to purge negativity from my life. One thing a cancer diagnosis can do is create a sense of gloom and doom and a sense of death, right? That it may be looming. But I don't know about anybody else, but for me, cancer has created a sense of urgency. Some of the things that my wife and I were gonna put off, nope, we're doing them. We're doing them today. I wake up every day with what can I get done today in a positive way. And whether you have cancer or not, you should definitely do that. You know, cancer does not discriminate. It doesn't favor any one culture. It doesn't favor any socioeconomic group. When it shows up for all of us. And so for anyone, no matter who you are, sharing your story is vital. I always was going to share my prostate cancer journey. I'm a storyteller, and this is what I do. So it never crossed my mind not to share it. I spent a life getting people to tell their story, so why would I keep my story to myself, particularly one that was this significant? I knew the statistics that 1 in 8 men in general would get prostate cancer, and 1 in 6 African-American men would get it, and certainly having a father, a direct relative with prostate cancer almost made me the bullseye of that target. So for me, being able to share stories personally, my personal stories, just really validates the fact that so many people are going through similar experiences. I have been absolutely overwhelmed at the response to my columns, which I call my Cancer Chronicles, really articulating what I'm going through and writing about it on AL.com and other platforms. I've had people sharing their prostate cancer journey, giving me their PSA numbers, letting me know their diagnosis. I get follow-ups when they go to their doctors. I get follow-ups after their surgery. And it just reminds me, I tell people, you are not alone. So part of my goal now is to elevate the awareness of prostate cancer, to ensure that all men, but particularly Black men, know that this is a cancer that can be treated if it's caught early, and that we can lower the statistics, we can improve the statistics just by going to the doctor and getting tested sooner rather than later. Look around. 1 in 8 men is going to get prostate cancer. Next time you hang out with your friends at a bar or a club, look around. One of you is going to get prostate cancer. My primary physician said that I received a gift when I received my diagnosis. He said, it's hard to fight an enemy you can't see. It's hard to come up with a strategy for a competition for which you don't know what the battle is. So knowing the battle gives me the information that I need in order to be able to fight it. So I encourage everyone to get the test sooner rather than later so that you know the evil that you're having to fight. I am Roy S. Johnson, and I am now included.